Hello, it's Roseline and I welcome you to Roseline YouTube channel. Breaking news. Canada's Immigration Minister, Minister Marc, has announced critical measures to limit the number of international students coming into Canada. Watch this video.
Possible that some private institutions have taken advantage of international students by operating under-resourced campuses, lacking supports for students, and charging high tuition fees, all the while significantly increasing their intake of international students. Today, I am announcing three principal measures. One, a temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits. It is the latest in a series of measures to improve program integrity, set international students up for the success in order to maintain a sustainable level of temporary residence in Canada as well. To ensure that there is no further growth in the number of international students in Canada for 2024, we are setting a national application intake cap for a period of 2 years. For 2024, the cap is expected to result in approximately 364,000 approved study permits, a decrease of 35% from 2023. In the spirit of fairness, we are also allocating the cap space by province based on population, such as that some provinces will see much more significant reductions. We'll continue to work closely with those provinces and territories to put these measures into place, as they will be responsible for determining how the cap is distributed between its designated learning institutions that they have jurisdiction over. I've had productive conversations, in particular with British Columbia and Ontario already, and we all recognize that more needs to be done to protect the integrity of our system while supporting international students. In addition, effective immediately, applicants must provide a provincial attestation with their study permit application. At the same time, the cap will not apply to students at graduate levels of studies, including master's and doctoral students. Those are the people we're looking for. Study permit applications at the elementary and secondary school levels will also be exempt. To repeat, as of September 1st of this year, postgraduate work permits will no longer be available to public-private institution models. Thirdly, in the coming weeks, we will be announcing that open work permits will only be allowed and be available to spouses of international students enrolled in master's and doctoral programs, as well as professional programs such as medicine and law. Spouses of international students enrolled in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. To be clear, the cap will not apply to applicants within Canada looking to extend their studies, as it wouldn't be fair to prevent someone from finishing the program, nor will the cap have an effect on study permit holders currently in Canada. These temporary measures will be in place for 2 years, and the number of new study permit applications that will be accepted in 2025 will be reassessed.
So that is the news. This news was released January 22nd, 2024. Let's go to the official Canadian website to see the news on the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada website. Here is the official Canadian website. Canada to stabilize the growth and decrease the number of new international student permits issued to approximately 360,000 for 2024. Now let's go through it. International students enrich our communities and are a critical part of Canada's social, cultural and economic fabric. And that's the truth. The government of Canada makes a huge sum from international students. You know the amount they pay in their tuition fee and the number of students that's flocks into Canada. So they are a critical part of Canada's social, cultural and economic fabric. In recent years, the integrity of the international student system has been threatened. Some institutions have significantly increased their intakes to drive revenues, and more students have been arriving in Canada without the proper support they need to succeed. So it says some institutions have seen this as an avenue to make more revenues. And indirectly, students are coming in, trooping in their numbers, and they are not getting the proper support. They are not getting the right education needed. Probably they are too much in the classroom. You know, the facilities are not equivalent to the number of students. The number of students are more than the facilities in that institution. So institutions are beginning to see it as a means to make more revenues. So rapid increases in the number of international students arriving in Canada also puts pressure on housing, healthcare, and other services. As we work to better protect international students from bad actors and support sustainable population growth in Canada, the government is moving forward with measures to stabilize the number of international students in Canada. So they are saying the rapid increase in the number of international students arriving in Canada is putting pressure on housing, is putting pressure on the healthcare, is putting pressure on other services because of the increase in number of students that are trooping into Canada. And now the Honorable Minister, Marc, announced today, that's on the 22nd of January 2024, that the government of Canada will set an intake cap on international students' application to stabilize the new growth for a period of 2 years. So this is just like a testing phase for a period of 2 years. And what is happening? It says for 2024, the cap is expected to result in approximately 360,000 approved study permits, which is a decrease of 35% from 2023. It's saying this year 2024, only a number of 360,000 study permits will be approved, which is a decrease of 35% from what it was in the year 2023. So in the spirit of fairness, individual, provincial, and territorial caps have been established, weighted by population, which will result in much more significant decreases in provinces where the international student population are seeing the most unsustainable growth. Study permit renewals will not be impacted. Those pursuing master's and doctoral degrees and elementary and secondary education are not included in the cap. Current study permit holders will not be affected. Now, what this is saying is that since they would be approving only 360,000 study permits per year, each province has the number of students that they can allow, and this will be weighted by population. You can't compare the number of students that Prince Edward Island, which is the smallest province in Canada, will be having, to provinces like Ontario. They can't have the same number. Ontario has numbers of schools, significant numbers of schools compared to Prince Edward Island, compared to Newfoundland and Labrador. And it is good that the current study permit holders will not be affected, and also study permit renewals will not be impacted. Now I read along. IRCC will allocate a portion of the cap to each province and territory, who will then distribute the allocation among their designated learning institutions. And that is what I just explained. IRCC would allocate numbers to each province and territory. For example, I'm just saying, I don't know the number it's going to allocate to each province, to each territory. For example, if it's giving the province of Ontario 100,000 students, then the province of Ontario will know how to distribute these 100,000 students among the designated learning institutions, among the schools in that province. Now, to implement the cap, as of January 22nd, 2024, every study permit application submitted to IRCC will also require an attestation letter from the province or territory. Provinces and territories are expected to establish a process for issuing attestation letters to students by no later than March 31st, 2024. Now, this is another major update that is being added to your document. Before your study permit will be approved, that province that is offering you the admission would provide you an attestation letter. So this attestation letter should be provided by the province, and each province and each territory is expected to make sure that these attestation letters are being issued not later than March 31st, 2024. These temporary measures will be in place for 2 years, and the number of new study permit applications that will be accepted in 2025 will be reassessed at the end of this year. During this period, the Government of Canada will continue to work with provinces and territories, designated learning institutions, and national education stakeholders on developing a sustainable path forward for international students, including finalizing a recognized institution framework, determining long-term sustainable levels of international students, and ensuring post-secondary institutions are able to provide adequate levels of student housing. In order to better align the postgraduate work permit program, we are changing the eligibility criteria. Now, this is it. Starting from September 1, 2024, international students who begin a study program that is part of a curriculum licensing arrangement will no longer be eligible for a post-graduation work permit upon graduation. Under curriculum licensing agreement, students physically attend a private college that has been licensed to deliver the curriculum of an associated public college. These programs have seen significant growth in attracting international students in recent years, though they have less oversight than the public colleges and they act as a loophole with regards to post-graduation work permit eligibility. So this is saying that from September 1st, 2024, there will no longer be postgraduate work permits for students who graduate from these private colleges that is operating under the public college partnership. So it's saying for those that are graduating from all this private college that is being affiliated with the public colleges, there will not be a postgraduate work permit for them after graduation. This is not good news at all. Let's see the next one. Graduates of masters and other short graduate level programs will soon be eligible to apply for a 3-year work permit. Under current criteria, the length of a postgraduate work permit is based solely on the length of an individual study program, hindering master's graduates by limiting the amount of time they have to gain work experience and potentially transition to permanent residence. So normally, under the current criteria, the length of your postgraduate work permit is based on the length of your study program. But now it's saying that graduates of masters and other short graduate level programs will soon be eligible to apply for a 3-year work permit. In the weeks ahead, open work permits will only be available to spouses of international students in masters and doctoral programs. The spouses of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. Another bad news. It's good that graduates of masters, will soon be eligible to apply for 3-year work permits. That's a good news. But now it's saying that open work permits will only be available to the spouses of international students that are studying the masters and the doctoral program. The spouses of international students in other levels of studies, that's the undergraduate, the college programs, will no longer be eligible for open work permits. Now, the important measures announced today complement other recently announced reforms to the International Students Program. Taken together, they aim to ensure genuine students receive the support they require and have the resources they need for an enriching study experience in Canada, while at the same time stabilizing the overall number of students arriving and alleviating pressures on housing, healthcare, and other services in Canada. And the news goes on and on. I would post the link to the site in my description and also in the comment section. 3 major updates that I have gotten from the video and also from the news I just read to you from the Canadian website are: number 1, from September 1st, there will no longer be postgraduate work permit for students who graduate from the private colleges operating under the public college. Also, in few weeks ahead, there will be no more spousal open work permits for spouses of students who are not in the graduate schools. That is, students who are doing their undergraduate and college programs. There will no more be spousal open work permits, for their spouses. Open work permits will only be available for spouses of students enrolled in the master's and doctoral programs. Number 2, Canada will implement a 2-year cap on international study permits. It will reduce the number of study permits by 35% from what it was in the year 2023, bringing down the level to a number of 360,000 in the year 2024. Number 3, each province would be assigned a number of international students they could bring in, and the students will need to obtain an attestation letter from their province before applying for visa. So those are the new updates, and it's important that I bring it to this channel for you to be aware. Whatever you have to do regarding relocation, it's important that you do it quickly. Remember that quote: what you have to do, real quick. Whatever you have to do it quickly. Immigration laws are changing every time. My prayer is that it would favor you. So don't forget to like. If you have questions, ask them in the comment section, share with your friends, and then subscribe to this channel for more updates, opportunities, and life in Canada. I wish you all the best.